Hello, I think I'm on now. Oh, good. Yes, I am. Hello, everyone. This is Isaac Hongyao Wu again. Been away for 2 weeks, and today I'm back again doing a video on my experience on community interpreting. So that's a little bit of explanation that for the past fortnight, my wife, she's working at home, so she took over this room, my study, and I don't want to bother her, so I just postponed this video to today. So today I will be talking about court and legal interpreting, particularly court interpreting. And of course, mostly I'll be talking about the procedure. And because court is very comprehensive, it is one of the most important aspect of community interpreting. It is also known as the apex of community interpreting, where its difficulties, its complication, and its the level of professionalism required is at the top of all community interpreting in Australia. So this is a very, very important aspect of community interpreting. And actually, of course, you understand there's a lot of big jargons and lengthy monologues and a lot of things you need to be aware of. But today I will be focusing on procedural part of being an interpreter in a court setting, and some of my tips and sharing on what to expect and how to get prepared on. So hopefully you like it. Okay, now let's get started. As I mentioned before, this is like the apex of community interpreting. Apex, the top, the most difficult, complicated, and most demanding part of community interpreting. Therefore, you have to get yourself at least mentally prepared. You have to understand it's going to be fast, it's going to be long. Most of the court cases or court job can last up until hours, of if not days. Okay. Of course, the bookings that you get from the agencies usually is between 4 to 8 hours. It's either 4 hours half day court or 8 hours full day court. Not because you have to interpret the whole time. It's just that you don't know when your client is going to be called up, and you don't know when the case is going to be, heard on the court. So they will actually book you out for half a day or a full day so that you will be available for the whole time. So no matter how the court arranges and order your client's case, you will be available. So this is the main thing. So time, the lengthy booking, 4 to 8 hours. Believe it. Believe me that sometimes if I am booked for 8 hours, right? Sometimes I'm lucky. I was the first one up right at 9 o'clock in the morning. I went up. It was just a quick, intervention order. Took about half an hour, and then I'm gone. I'm gone. I can go home. So I'm still got paid for the whole day, but I can go home. But sometimes there were one case where I'm so lucky. I wait all the way to about, I think, 3:45, the very last case of the day. So for the first 7 hours, I didn't do anything. Okay, basically I just have to sit with my client and wait. So this is the main thing you have to be aware of as court interpreting. So it is difficult not only because of the time, the vocabularies, and also the strict procedures. Where once you get in, it's not like a casual doctor's appointment where you just sit down, smile at each other, and then you get started. There are a lot of procedure. You can see the judge or the magistrate, the court clerk, other attendants of the court, other cases where you have to wait for, or other cases that will go after you, and there's a lot more formality involved. Okay, so now once you go to the court, right, it's not entirely like how you see it on the TV show where you see two lawyers questioning each other in an adversarial manner. That's actually not very common unless you go into the county court. Usually, the majority of community courts interpreting tasks are involving with day-to-day matters, infringements, family violence issues, commercial issues, small amount of fraud, small amount of commercial dispute, which mostly would be also resolved in various mediations. And also, if you go to tribunals such as the Victorian Civil Administrative Tribunal or the VCAT or the AAT, Administrative Appeal Tribunal, these are the part where a lot more talking might happen, because tribunal is where the magistrate or the member of the tribunal, he or she has to stay and listen to evidence from both sides. So there will be a lot more talking. So tribunal is the hard part, where a lot of talking involves. Both party gives a lot of evidence, a lot of nitty-gritty things that they talk about, and the member of the tribunal has to give out judgment or decision. Sometimes it could be lengthy, sometimes it could be difficult, but other than tribunal, magistrate court, it might look scary, but actually it is not. Okay, so actually it's pretty short. The wait time takes most of your booking time away, and usually the time on the court is actually pretty short. But tribunal is different. Tribunal is if the client shows up, if the court case go ahead, unless one party withdraw the case, it usually goes on for quite a while, all right, quite a long one. So now let's go to the details of it. So once you arrive at the court as an interpreter, almost always you have to go through security check. Always remember, they will ask you to wait in the line, and they will check all the metal stuff on you. So usually save yourself from the troubles. Take out all your keys, your pens, all the metal stuff, your wallet with coins, or put it in your bag. Or else they will have to ask you to take it out, put it on a little plate or a basket, and then they will have to check out everything. So that is pretty tedious sometimes. So usually, before you even get into the queue, put all your wallet, your coins, your keys, your little knife and stuff, put it all into your bag. Okay? That's that. So once that's all in, then you put the bag onto the X-ray scanner, and you just walk in. And as you know, I'm a gentleman, so I wear a belt. So usually I'm quite, it's quite safe to expect that the metal detector will sound an alarm once you walk through. So usually it's my belt. Okay, so you just open up your belt, let them flip through the belt buckles, and let the security guard look at your buckles, and you're in. And then usually, once they scan your bag, they will pay attention to the liquids, such as deodorants. I carry around a bottle of Dettol with me, and also deodorants, or I used to even carry a small bottle of shaving cream. And those things are the ones that they really look for. Aerosols and liquid, those things will bring you extra trouble, so try to avoid that. So once you pass that, the waiting, then you get into the court. Yeah, you get into the court building, the tribunal building. So step one is always look for where the reception is. Okay, you go to the reception, like a counter. Okay, it's like a big counter. Then you go to the counter, you show up to yourself to the clerk. The front counter clerk will look at you. You tell them I'm an interpreter. They will open up the computer, and they will tell you, okay, you're an interpreter. What's your name? Where you're from? And do you have any detail of your client? Usually a name or case number or file number. You tell them. The clerk will let you know whether your client has arrived or not arrived, and they will instruct you where and how to wait for your clients. So that's always the first step. Know where you should go, and know who are you interpreting for today. So once that's done, you know where you're going, and you usually will be told which courtroom that you are expecting to go. So you just go to that courtroom. You can actually just get into the courtroom. It's okay. Remember, once you get in, before you open the door, you get in, always bow to show respect to the magistrate or to the member. And then you go to those seats on the back and sit down and wait for your turn. And usually, especially in tribunals, your clients will be waiting outside of the tribunal room or the courtroom. So it's likely that you can meet them. And if you go to magistrate court, the legal aid or defense lawyer or legal representative will be with your clients, and they sometimes will be asking you to go with them to another room for a pre-hearing or session where the legal aid lawyer or the private lawyer will talk about what to expect, what might happen, what's the procedure, and that's where your formal interpreting begins. So you greet your clients, greet the legal representative, you know each other, and you will start talking about what to expect and what are they going to do, and the lawyer may be guessing what may the magistrate or the tribunal member is going to do as well. So that actually is a good start, gives you an idea of what to expect during the court case, so that at this time you can take notes, you can ask questions. They are more than happy to help you. The legal representative, they are very helpful. They try to go through this whole proceeding as soon as possible, so they try to help you because that will be helping themselves. So you can always ask questions to the lawyers, to your clients, the non-English speaking clients. They will tell you what to expect, what was the case, what's the matter, what is the focal point of the conflict of interest, everything. So that is a very good opportunity for you to get a good briefing of what to expect. Okay. And in magistrate courts, it's usually intervention order, also known as IVO, and mention, or it's just infringement notice, right? Someone just speed, okay? It was a speeding ticket, so they try to get over it, get a pardon or get it overturned, so they don't have to pay or they don't have to have a criminal record. So that happens, and also sometimes the police may come out and give out evidence, and this is the part where you have to listen very carefully, take notes, and interpret. Right. So next, once you proceed, you talk to a lawyer, you know where you're going, you know the courtroom, you get into there. The first thing you do is sit down and wait for your turn. Then you get into turn, and when the court is ready for your case, usually the court clerk will read out, calling for the file number, whatever, or case of who against who. So keep your ears open, okay? Always ask your lawyer or the representative of your clients that what is the case number, or just for your own reference. Usually your client's representative lawyer will actually indicate to you, oh, it's our turn, but just precaution, you should know it, you should ask for it, so you keep your ears open. So once you heard the case number for your client, you're ready to go up. Okay, so calling for file number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. So for the matter of whatever, and then you just get in, you walk in, you usually go with your client, show up yourself in front of the magistrate or the member and say, usually we'll say good morning or good afternoon, my name is Isaac Wu, Hong Yao Wu, Blow Joe, Joe Blow, and then say, okay, I am the interpreter from which and which agency you're talking about, and if you have an ID number, you can provide your ID number, and you should provide your full name at least. So once that's done, then the judge and the clerk will know who you are. Yeah. So what happens next is you will be able to you'll have to do an oath or affirmation. That's not only for you, it's also for your client as well. So what is an oath and what's an affirmation? So an oath and an affirmation, both of them is a form of promise to tell the truth. So everyone, including the witnesses, the accused, the defendant, even the interpreter, which is me, each and every one of them who speaks in front of the crown or the tribunal member, you have to make this legal promise, a legal binding promise to tell the truth. So there are two ways of doing so. So usually they will start with affirmation. What is an affirmation? Affirmation is someone who has no religious belief. Okay, he or she is an atheist. Okay, say, usually they will say, I promise. Okay, to the evidence that I give is true. the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. All right. So it's just a promise. But for myself and some other colleagues or some of the clients that we met, they are either Christian, Muslim, or whichever belief they're having. So usually, give an example of myself, I have to go up to the podium. I'll usually at the magistrate court they will have the Bible ready for you, but in tribunals they might not have the Bible ready for you, except AAT, where a lot of migration cases have been heard. So if you, like myself, I'm really strict about swearing on the Bible. So just in case they don't have the Bible, I usually carry my own Bible. But for the magistrate court, they usually have the Bible ready for you. You just grab the Bible, put it on the Bible. You can grab the Bible, and you say, "I swear in the name of Almighty God that I will be truth and fully interpret what is said to the best of my abilities." So this is very important, to the best of your ability. I'll mention it again and again in the future. Interpreters, we are not machine. We are not translation machines. We do things based on the best of our ability. We've been through trainings. We have experience. We're pretty confident that we're up to the task. But of course, we are prone to mistakes, errors, and fatigue. So it's all up to our ability. So don't worry about, there may be something missing, but always remember, to the best of your ability, okay? Even in our oath. So once you've done the oath or affirmation, then usually there are two things might happen. One thing is you only have one client, the accused, the defendants, or the whatever that is. They will go up, and the judge or the magistrate or the tribunal member will start asking questions, demanding answers. And for this kind of case, it's pretty easy. So you have the microphone ready right in front of you. So you basically listen to what they say, and you can speak into the microphone so everyone listens to you, so including your clients and everyone else. So it's nice and open. So that's easy. So it's just like consecutive interpreting. So, or sometimes if the judge is reading out a piece of document or reading out any material, you can do sushrotage, which is whisper interpreting to the ear of your clients. But usually, okay, the judge or the member will understand that there's a language barrier, so they will go in 2 or 3 sentences. They will pause a little bit, let you interpret, and they'll go on and let you interpret. Especially in federal courts and magistrate court, when you have to speak into the microphone really clearly, they'll give you time to interpret. So don't worry about it. So you speak into the microphone, make sure people can hear you, unless microphone is not available. Maybe you're sitting in the booth with your client. You have to do whisper interpreting, also known as chuchotage in French. So that's how you do stuff, right? Then it's very similar to other type of community interpreting. So it's just that it's recorded, it's amplified by the microphone. It might cause you a little bit of extra stress, especially if it's the first time you are interpreting in the court scenario. And so always remember, you're a human being. You're prone to mistake as well. So always have notes ready, have your notepad ready, have a pen ready. When it comes to important things such as clauses, dates, times, names, places, location, these things you always take notes because you're recorded. Okay, always remember you're being recorded, so you don't want to make any mistake, and that may cause further trouble down the track. So you should always have a little notepad available, like this size of a notepad. You just take notes, and it's okay. You don't have to look at the judge. You don't have to look at anyone. You can just look into the note. Of course, that might sound a little bit funny, but it's okay. Make sure you try your best, but try to be accurate. Okay, you don't have to interpret word by word, but all the main points have to be accurate in the court because again, you are being recorded. So once you record it, you know that people can come back to you, especially if it is in a case where there's a conflict, big conflict between the two parties. So it is very important that you take notes and make sure your accuracy is up to the level. You can always request a repeat because there is a industry standard set up by various departments and set up by different stakeholders in a court case where lawyers and judges, they try to speak in plain English. They try not to use complicated jargon. And as an interpreter, you do have the right to ask for a pause, either for rest or to check out a particular term, so that the accuracy of the whole case could be conveyed, could be maintained when you interpret. So it's okay. You don't have to stress out about big words and difficult words. Usually, if a big difficult jargon is coming out all the time, you can always ask for a pause. You can always ask to check up your check on your phone, check in the dictionary. Once you understand it, you can continue. It might slow down the process a little bit, but the judge and the lawyer, they don't really mind. They rather you make it right instead of then you made a mistake, you have to go back all the way from the beginning, or even cause more trouble further down the track. So it's okay if there's a vocab issue, right? So also throughout the case, you got to be very careful, attentive. Try to speak in a clear voice so that your voice can be recorded. Don't worry, the recording is not up against you. It's just to make sure the whole proceeding is accurately recorded, so there wouldn't be any misunderstanding. It wouldn't be any procedural issues in the future. But as I mentioned before, you are being recorded, so you're trying to be as accurate, as complete as possible when you interpret. Okay, so that's a very important thing in a court case, because in other places besides the police station, no one really record what you say, and so this could be a little bit more stressful, mentally speaking, because you're being recorded and you're speaking through a microphone where everyone in the courtroom can hear what you say. So that you might feel like you're being put under the spotlight. So that could be an issue. And there's actually one thing, good or bad. One more situation where two parties are both non-English speakers, such as a family court case where the wife and the husband, or the children or the parent, they both require interpreters. So sometimes you have colleagues around. Okay, there's another interpreter interpreting for the other party. So sometimes you feel a little bit weary because someone is listening. Someone is professional listening to you, and but always see them as friend. There was one case I remember when I went to the WeCat for a dispute resolution, and it was not successful. So we went on the hearing, and then I remember one of the clients just said that, "Excuse me, member, Your Honor, I would like to say that this time there are a lot of technical terms involved in our case, and I think generally a man knows all these technical things more than a woman." So the other party, my other colleagues, I don't want to name her, but she is a lady and I'm a man. And the client openly speaks in English, tells or requests to the members that they should use me as a man to interpret most of the the hearing, because she presumed that a male interpreter understands technical terms better than a female interpreter, which is completely wrong. I know that interpreter, she's absolutely gorgeous and she's very good, very professional. She's in the industry as long as I was. So she knows things as good as I am, sometimes even better than I am. So at this time, you're going to show professional solidarity. Do not assume interpreters are, one is better than the others. We are the same. We are competent. We prove ourselves that we are all competent. So as a client, try not to assume that certain interpreter, they might not look very confident. They might not look like they are professional, but they are. Okay, so do not judge the book by its cover. So for example, myself, I usually dress in suit with a tie on when I go to the court. But in other colleagues, he or she might be a little bit more casual, but it doesn't mean they are less professional than I am. So So when you talk about that, always remember interpreters, no matter how many of them representing different parties, they are equally good. So do not request certain interpreter to interpret for you or interpret certain part of the hearing. That is basically not right. And the judge will not agree, and the interpreter will not agree, and it basically make yourself a fool out of it. So don't do that if you ever go onto a court hearing with interpreter. So always treat people with respect. Of course, when it comes to false language, screaming, yelling, swearing, those kind of things, as an interpreter, always do not filter out those words. Always interpret what you heard. Even the hesitations. It was 2 o'clock. No, it was 3 o'clock. Do not say that it was 3 o'clock. No, you have to interpret it exactly as what your client says. Show this hesitation, show this sense of disrespect, or he's a fucking idiot. It's okay. You can interpret all that because that's your job. Your job is to convey the message. You're not there to filter out anything. So it's okay. You might be running into something more, dramatic, but as long as you can cope it, you should interpret what you say, what you heard, to the best of your ability. Of course, if you are tired of it, you think you had enough of it, you can always raise your hand and ask the judge, the magistrate, the member to give you a rest. So that's okay. So besides accuracy, relevancies, professionalism, those are very, very important in the court case. Do not just wear a pair of flip-flops to the court case. You might be getting yourself into legal trouble, contempt of the court. That could be. So that you have to be very, very careful, right? So, and sometimes when the magistrate go on with a judgment or with his or her decision, maybe the judge is going really fast and you might not catch every single point. Don't worry about it. For this part of the hearing, even Aussies or first English as a first language speaker, they couldn't catch everything as well. Those things are usually written down, and the lawyer that represents your client usually will have a copy of it, or at least he or she will have a good record, bits and pieces during the hearing. After the hearing, usually your client and his or her representative will actually go to a room outside of the courtroom, and they will talk about what happened on the case after. Okay, they will actually talk to each other. Okay, here's what happened, here's what we're going to do, here's what we said. So there are chances, there is another opportunity for everything to be clarified again. So if you make a bit of mistake, as long as it's not something totally ruining the whole meaning of the message, it's okay. Missing bits and pieces is fine, as long as it's not interfering with the whole procedure and the justice of the whole case. The lawyer will actually explain everything after the court case. So don't be too stressed about having everything written down and interpreted. So now, of course, try your best. All right, try to be accurate, try to be complete. And once that's done, you've done the legal proceeding, you've done the hearing, you went out to the little room next to the courtroom, and then you explain everything that the representative, the lawyer, spoke to your client, and that's finished. Usually you're free to go. So always ask this question: do you need me further? Ask the lawyer, ask the legal aid person, and if it comes back as a no, go downstairs, go back to the counter where you sign in. Always remember, go there and get yourself signed off. Always ask the clerk, do you need me for further cases? Usually in the Melbourne Magistrate Court, they will ask you to stay, just in case there may be some other clients who either all of a sudden they forgot to book an interpreter, or the interpreter didn't show out, the interpreter was late, didn't show up, they forgot to get an interpreter, or there were cases where the client thought his or her English was good enough and did not request for an interpreter. Ended up didn't understand a thing. So I have to interpret for that person as well. But actually, he was not the client listed on my booking. Okay, so that happens. So don't assume that you can go home, especially in a magistrate court after you interpret for the client listed on the booking. Sometimes you have to stay behind, but sometimes the court case could be adjourned and your client never showed up, so you can just sign off and go home without doing anything. You still get paid for it. But no matter what case it is, always sign off. You have to get sign off by the staff in the front desk. Recently, you don't have to because of the COVID. It's just for the safety, so you don't have to sign off. You just call your company, call your agency, let them know you finished the job, and they'll close the file for you. So that should be fine. So you don't have to sign off recently. But I think after the COVID thing, maybe they will do a bit of reform. You don't have to sign off anymore, but maybe you still have to sign off. So who knows? We'll wait and see. So that's basically everything, or a outline of the thing that you should expect to see in a court community interpreting scenario. So I hope it's useful for you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want anything that you want me to talk about, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.